Good morning, Facebook family and friends. Hope your weekend was good. Hope it was restful. Hope you did more instead of less in terms of yourself. Hope you came out happy, that today's a happy day. It rained a great deal this weekend here in Pensacola to the point where, I'm watching the water outside my door like a moat. I needed a boat there for a minute, but it finally subsided and, all went well. All went well. But anyway, I'm going to say good morning. Today we're going to talk about trim. And, last Friday I talked about more. So today I said, you know what? We understand what more is. More could be our money, more could be our time, more could be so many things. So today I wanted to talk about what trimming means and the importance of trim, the importance of it. Good morning, everybody coming in. Good morning. Um, we just want to say that it's important to know how to trim. It's important to know when to trim, and it's important to know what to trim. What to trim, and sometimes we have a great deal of that. And you know, if I don't see you on the screen, that's because I left my glass in the kitchen. If it gets real bad, I'm going to get them. But anyway, right now I can see it says good morning, good Monday morning. Doing a little decorating on my patio. I did read that, so maybe my eyes aren't as bad as I, depend on those glasses for. So anyway, good morning, T. Hope you're getting it done. Hope you're getting it done, and that's good because you are decorating and you are doing something. But when we talk about trim, we want to talk about getting rid of some things, and some things could be too much clutter in the house. It could be too much clutter in your head, too many people around, too much. And so trimming is a process. And sometimes we have great difficulty with knowing what to get rid of and what to keep, you know. And there's some sayings that are out there that talk about you have more when you have less. And so I kind of like that. I like the concept of really getting more of something only because I have less of something else. Good morning, Maurice, my preacher, my usher. I love my usher. You all have to go and find his YouTube's channel. It's just so funny. Yesterday, the church was full for the church anniversary, and Mickey got baptized. So there you go, there you go. It's just a wonderful little. I don't know how he came up with this, but it keeps us engaged every single week. We look for that. We look for it. Kadisha, it's good to see you this morning. But anyway, we're going to talk about trim. So trim is when we get rid of stuff. Knowing what needs to be peeled off, cut off, blocked off. We need to just let it go. So it says, I have a couple of poems, and these are from people that say it real quickly, but the information is really good. The first one is by Leonard Sweet. It says, no one likes the process of pruning and the pain of loss, but fruit only grows on new wood. So therefore, the tree that has not been pruned back may have difficulty bringing you and bearing fruit. That's what trees do. And that's what bushes do. And sometimes you see where people never ever trim back anything, and they become wild, and they take up a lot of room, take up a lot of space, and they look unkept. They look unkept. And so when we talk about trimming something, we're talking about there's a reason for us needing to have this thing go on with it that cuts back the things that are no longer necessary. Because a lot of times if you cut off the dead flowers, then the new flowers would come. If you cut off the dead leaves, the new leaves would come. Okay? So there you go. And then the second one is by Greg McKeown. It says, less is better. When you have less, you actually have more. And remember I talked about more on Friday. That's why I wanted to talk about less today, but using a different word for it. And there's something they called simple abundance. And I think there's a book out on it. And simple abundance means when you get rid of all the baggage, all the clutter, all the extra, the superfluous stuff. You end up being clear about everything. You can walk clear, you can see clear, you feel clear, you can think clear. Everything changes. Everything changes. And I've been working on mine. I tell you, I'm just not going through this, for you. I'm going through this with you. I know that the pandemic has given me time to go and do some things. So I am doing some things. In fact, we had a takeaway service by the city this weekend in our area. And so, thank goodness for my a friend's son. He came over and we masked up and we got it done. And he put all the stuff out to the street and they took it away. You don't know. That was like just something that a burden was lifted. Oh, I still have more to do. Trust me. I still have more to do. I've been in this house over 30 years. So when you've been someplace over 30 years, you get used to what's around you. But I'm trying to trim it back, let it go, prune it, see what else I can see, and revision my place where I live. Revision it. On the inside looks good. It's not the inside. It's that I put everything in the garage. Well, I don't have to go to the garage every day. But guess what? I can start looking at doing that. And then the last one says it's by Linda Boystad. And it says, remember that growth always involves some pruning. So that means you got to cut back on something in order to feel the newness of what's underneath, or or what's being viewed, the newness of what you see, the newness of how you feel, the newness of where you can go. New. It's just going to change. So anyway, I'm going to ask you this question. Are you stuck? We all stuck. I don't care who we are. We're going to get stuck on something. Something's going to get in our way. Something's going to hold us back, And right now, I was listening this morning before I came in to do this session, is that they were talking about the virus. And I don't know. I just feel this way. Put it in the thread if you feel the same way. I feel America is stuck. I just do. We've not managed this thing well about the virus. People are starting to get it. And then I heard a real haunting comment from a doctor. And the doctor said, eventually we will all get COVID-19. We will all get this horrendous, this virus that eventually some may be able to fight off and others cannot. So to me, that's an alarming statement. Good morning. Good morning. That's an alarming statement that really suggests that we need to do more. We, as a people, we need to cover up. We need to do what at least the CDC says that we should do to even do baseline stuff. And we don't even know how important it is, not just for ourselves, but anybody that we come in contact with, because they're saying that even 8 inches may not be enough. It may need 10. It may need definitely more than 6. So we really have to pay attention. We really do, of how we're going to survive, because maybe we don't have it this week, but maybe next week we will. And then on top of that, remember I told you I took the test. I'm still waiting for the results. And I talked to someone else who took it at that same location. They've been waiting 2.5 weeks. So my concern is that even if you weren't, infected before, what if you've come in contact, if you continue to live your life and you come in contact with somebody else and you do get exposed? Terrible. That's just terrible. So I did it again. Yes, I did. I did it again. And this one's supposed to, in fact, they fired the company that was doing the testing at that location. And they said they had to, because they said even them as workers did not have the results back from the same company they worked for. So there's trouble ahead. There is trouble ahead. So we have to talk about, maybe in this instance, trimming where we go, trimming who we see, trimming what we're involved in. We may have to look at how we have to cut back, prune some things to get it right, to get it better, to get it where we can certainly handle it. But I I tell you, I'm not optimistic currently the way it's looking that things are going. So when we trim, we're really looking at making something neat or of a required size or form by cutting away what is irregular or wanted parts. And that's what we do when we trim. When we trim our trees, we're trimming them back because we're looking for a certain look or just a certain, we're looking for a shape. We're looking for something. We're looking for something. We're looking for it to look better, for certain. We're looking for it to look better. So when we cut back, we're looking at how we're cutting something, snipping it, mowing it, as in your lawn, how we might barber, how we shear, how we shape. Good morning, Yolanda. How we shape stuff, clip stuff, prune, and of course, it says to neaten, to make it look neat. And I think a lot of times because we go so much, we don't even realize when things look bad anymore, or that we might be even feeling bad because we got so much stuff around us or so many things on our plate or so many people to see and so many commitments we have that we don't know what it means to trim because we've moved in that direction so long that we forgot what the scenery looked like. We forgot to stop and appreciate what it is that it used to be. We stopped. We stopped looking for stuff. So the T of trim is for transformation. How do you transformate anything? How do you do it? Transform, how do you do it? How do you do it? It says in the transformation, it says it's a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance. That's what you're looking for when you're going to trim something. It says you're going to change it. You're going to move it to a state of alteration. You're going to modify it. You're going to do a variation on it. You're going to, it says a conversion of it, a revision of it, amended of it. All these things. Okay, Maurice, you said getting that edge up. That's right. That's right. And that could be in the hair or your lawn. Okay, we're looking at how we're going to phase it in, how we're going to transfiguration of it, or it says mutating it, remodeling it, redoing it, reconstructing, rebuilding, and restyling. All those things have to do with what transformation does to our trim. We getting ready to, we got something to do. We're getting ready to look at it differently. Change it up. Make it ours. Make it where we feel comfortable with it and proud of it. But a lot of times because we continue to go in the house and the house always looks like that, we get used to it. We get used to it. And we don't worry about it because we have too many things outside the house. We have too many things, in the garage to go through it. So we don't go out to the garage. Okay, I'm getting in my garage. In fact, I got light. I couldn't reach the light. I had bought the wrong size fluorescent light, and I didn't know. I went out and bought a T8, and I needed a T12, and so I figured it out. I finally, talked with someone at the Home Depot department, and I said, I have a T8. What other sizes does it come? He says, only two sizes. I said, I need the other size. He said, you absolutely do. So I have light in my garage now, so I'm excited about that. Okay, now the R of trim is for reshape. And reshape something is to give it a new form or orientation. To shape for the form of, to making it different. It's going to look different. And you're going to reshape it again from what it was. That's what reshaping is all about. It says you're going to make it correct. And that's correct by how you think it should look and how you feel about how it looks. It says you're going to modify it, to rewrite how it looks. It says you're going to affect it, to mold it, to redesign it. All of these things. It says you're going to remake it according to the way you think it should be remade. You're going to change it, alter it, reform it. It says you're going to reappropriate it. You're going to renew it, remold it, adjust it, reproduce it, revolutionize it. I like that. Rejig it. Okay, rejig. Oh, I like that too. Restyle and reconstruct. So all those things. So it's not even just talking about little things. It's talking about big things. Like when people remodel their house, they go into sheer craziness for a while until it's remodeled. And then they get back to appreciating and loving their house again. Because over time, things get old, they get worn out, they get stressed, they get, worn out. That's what happens when we don't always go back to our unbusy and we pay attention to what we see. Or we see it so much we don't see it anymore. We just don't recognize it. It's like, oh yeah, it used to look real pretty there. It doesn't look pretty anymore. So anyway, that's what reshaping would do to what we're trimming back from. And then the I of trim is for ideal. Now, ideal is what you want, not what anybody else wants. I'm quite sure even if, you're married and you've gone through this thing where you and your spouse are discussing how you want this room to look, okay? Or maybe you have a man room, okay? Or a woman's place, whatever it is, whatever you want to call your little spaces. And you're going to want them decorated and looking the way you want them to look. However, somebody else may come in, well, no, I don't really like that there. I like that. You have to tell them, my place, my idea. So the idea is what you feel, how you feel about the way you want something to change and how you want it to look and what needs to be trimmed off of what is there, what needs to be thrown away, what needs to be cut away, what needs to be repainted, what needs to be, just new furniture. Sometimes new furniture will help. But anyway, idea is satisfying one's conception of what is perfect in terms of how they feel about it. It's not anybody else. It's like what the absolute flawlessness of something would be for you, not for anyone else. So that's how you would look at it. What is my perfect idea of what needs to be trimmed back to make it where I want this room, my grass, my trees, my plants, everything, how I want my car to look, If you want your car to look good, you're going to have to keep all the junk out of it. I went to somebody's car one day and they had so much stuff in it. It's like they lived in it. And to them, they were comfortable. Well, there wasn't enough room as far as I was concerned to ride. So I said, well, I'm going to meet you there. It didn't make sense to me. But once again, that's my idea of what I feel and how I feel taking care of my car is about. For someone else, it may be something totally, totally different. Totally different. And a lot of times, once again, because we are so busy, we don't trim the things that we should trim. We don't get back down to the things that are basic. We stay up on, they need me, that project needs me, this person needs me. Good morning, Carla. All these people need me, but I'm okay. No, you're not okay. Because sometimes the clutter we have, the junk we have, the extra stuff we have may just override us to the point where we don't even have ourselves anymore because we're too tired to do anything once we get back to the house because we've done too many things out, for others, for even it could be for ourselves too, but you have to get back down to the basics to make it yours again, to appreciate it, to love it, to be comfortable in it. That's what you want. And the M of trim is manicure. Now, I don't know how many of you actually go to the nail shops to get your nails done and feet done, nail manicure, and of course a pedicure. Since the pandemic, I don't go and hardly went before because my nails, thank God, they grow well, and I just keep them, trimmed up. Now, I'm not big on polish. Sometimes I'll get around to polishing, but most of the times not, And for me, that's one thing I trimmed off once I, stopped working. I said, the regular job, I don't want to spend $25, $35 to get nails put on. I'll try to grow mine, and if they break, I'll just cut them off. Good morning, Cassandra. So I just cut mine off. But so for me, it's not a big deal. But for other people, that's the only thing they think of. They have to get their hair done and their nails done. And so that's part of what they do. Whereas, they let other things go and that may need that money. And that's okay. There's no criticism with that. There isn't. Because sometimes that's what just makes us feel good, making sure that we look good. But then we also need to look at what else can we trim to make where we live look good, what we drive still looks good. How we feel about our minds and hearts needs to look good to us. It's an ideal thing. So to manicure something, it is a cosmetic treatment. I know that. It's cosmetic. And sometimes when we are into the cosmetic stuff, we're not down to how we really feel. So it says, so to look at something being cosmetic, it says you're looking at how it's being cleaned up, how it's being cut off, cut back, pruning, and making acceptable. Now, you may talk about what's acceptable. I'm not talking about you worrying about, your neighbors. But of course, I'll tell you about your neighbors. Your neighbors will tell on you, because my daughter had an old car outside the house, and she was trying to preserve it, but it wasn't running, and we were trying to, do what we could to keep it. But the neighbors called it in. So the law enforcement people came by. And I wasn't home, and they left a card at my door, and I said, I haven't done anything wrong. I said, I haven't, run a red light. I haven't done anything which really says anybody should come by. Well, sure enough, it wasn't for me. It was for the car to be gone. And they gave me 15 days to get it gone. And then I went down, I talked to them. I said, well, she said she has somebody that wants to buy it. And people were playing. They didn't buy it. So eventually they kept going on and on and on and on about it. So we had to get rid of the car because the neighbors, somebody complained. And it wasn't that it was on their property, but I guess it was in their view. And their view didn't like it. Their view. So it's done. It's a gone thing. And sometimes your neighbors might help you with that if you live in a neighborhood that may have some ordinances or some, rules, some homeowners rules or whatever that says you will not have, an RV outside the house or an extra car that's not running or something of that nature. But it helped me because cosmetically it does look better. I mean, I don't have anything to say about that. It does look better. And I also last week had my lawn done. I had somebody come in. I saw them working on somebody else's, and they came over the next day, and they went front to back. And boy, I haven't seen. They cut down some shrubbery that had grown tall. I'm like, wow, I even have more light in my house. So sometimes trimming helps you get back down to the level of feeling good about what you see and also about what others may see. So when we look at trimming, we want to look at how we're just transforming some things back to the way we like them. We're looking at the reshaping of the process, what that may entail. And sometimes reshaping ourselves to what we see, to what we want, to what we eventually get may be painful. Because some things we have no control over how it's become a process of reshaping, like when we lose a loved one. We can't do anything about that. We can't. We just have to become okay with what God has said. That's what we have to do. We have to be comfortable in what is the decision that's been made. Okay? And it's tough. It's tough. You lose a mother, a brother, sister, father, child, auntie, all of it. Tough stuff. But eventually we adjust. So some trim we don't have anything to do with, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I worry now about this whole virus thing, is that who will be trimmed from our lives? Will it be us? Will it be somebody we know and love? They said eventually it will. Eventually we will know someone that has been taken by this virus. So that's why I'm saying I got to cover up. I got to try to prevent as much as I can my health. And I hope you're doing the same. I hope you're doing the same. So anyway, here's some questions today about trim. And the first question is, what do you need to trim personally? What is it? Hope you have a pen and paper. Write it down. What do you need to trim, to take out of your lives? And sometimes I use words that may be similar to this, like, to cut back something, or to, to just realize that less, because I've used that word before and broken it down. Sometimes less is more. And that's the same thing with trim. When you trim something, you may find that you have more time, you have more vision, you have more room to do other things, only because you've trimmed back on some things. Question number 2, how do you deal with transformation? How do you deal with it? Be honest, because some people, you change something, they're like disoriented forever. They can't hang. I tell you a little quick story about my mother. My mother was, as she got older, much, much older, she would love to have all the things that gave her pleasure where she could see them. And so she liked knickknacks. She liked, dolls, just a whole bunch of stuff. So after she passed, I just realized how much she had. But prior to her passing, I had gone to visit her in New York. And I said, she was sick in the hospital. So while she was sick, I called myself straightening up her house. Wrong thing to do. She came back out there. She said, who moved my, I'm going to tell you that word. Who moved it? And I said, Mommy, I just thought it would be easier for you to get around that door if you moved the chair from behind the door. But I like it there because then I grab it on the way out the door. So sometimes you just understand that people get used to doing what they do. But the older they are, when they have to take care of something, the more they realize that the things became equally as important, if not even more important, than people who no longer came. It just is. That's just life. That's just life. Question number 3. What do you imagine this reshaping for you would look like? What would you imagine it to look like? Do you just see where you've changed a room? And now you can get those designing things that will actually, you go online and you show them the room, and you can actually put furniture in it. You can arrange things on the walls. You can do everything. It's a virtual designer. So you can try out stuff before you ever go and buy it. So I think that's actually pretty good. I did that for my back room. I needed a new couch, and I designed what color it was and how it would look and all that kind of stuff. Number 4, how do you arrive at your ideal place? How do you arrive there? Do you go, screaming after something catastrophic has happened, like, a hurricane or whatever, or do you really get to work and say, hey, I got to change this, now that there's some holes in the roof. In fact, that's what I got done over the weekend. Someone, did some roofing work for me. And I was so excited to get it done, and they were reasonable. So if you need somebody and you're in the Pensacola area, let me know. I certainly will refer you to. His name is Thomas. And I don't even know the last name, but I know he was good. He was good and he was quick. And the last question is, when do you manicure and how frequently do you do it? When do you manicure? And manicure is not just your nails. I'm talking about outside your house, even yourself. Maybe changing a hairstyle, whatever. Anything that gets down to the core of you. How do you get there? How do you get there? What do you do? How frequently do you do it? What takes place when it happens? Do you feel excited about the change you're going to make? Every once in a while, I get real excited if I've taken on a project in the house and I'm going to do it. Such I'm going to change the color of a room, or I'm going to, change the room around. I had a roommate who was wonderful, but she would come home and decide she's going to change the furniture and come home and it looked wonderful. She would just change it around. Just change it around. And that was when I was in graduate school, so I could care less anyway because my focus was trying to get through graduate school. And she was actually a year ahead of me in the graduate program, so she finished prior to myself. But anyway, that's our discussion for today. What can you trim back? How do you trim? How do you look at what is being transformed? And what does that transformation look like? What's the idea that you've seen? And how do you want it manicured? All those things talk about what trimming does. What is the trim that you need to deal with? How would you deal with it? When? For who? Is it for yourself or is it for somebody else? But anyway, I want you to really look at that. Friday was more and today was trim. I don't know. We'll see what tomorrow will bring, but we certainly have something for you. Certainly looking forward to seeing you. Certainly asking you, please, to take care of yourself. Please do some what I would call covering up if you have to go out to the market and all those places. Good morning, Miss Rosie. If you have to go out, take care of yourself. Do cover up. Do all the things that certainly say, I'm trying not to be sick. I'm trying not to catch this virus. And I take it seriously enough to know that it is real. It is real. Well, I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for stopping by these 25, 30 minutes with me today, maybe a little bit longer. And I want you to have a good day. Good morning, Angela. Have a great day and do all you can to be kind to somebody. I love. Bye-bye.